Hello YouTube and welcome to Bubble Hearthing. I'm Shallowblue13 and wow, this is some very quick news. Of course I was out for a little while, mostly because I was sick, otherwise I would have posted my whole review of the new set and things and Rastikon stuff, but I was very much under the weather and this marvelous voice could not function. Still, check my Twitch if you want to, but on to the big news. Okay, that should have been like 10 seconds maybe. So all of a sudden, this says, this is posted at 10:57, although on my phone it says 11:57. Not 11, sorry, 1:57. So 3 hours difference there. Could just be a time difference between different time zones. This was posted on December 18th on Twitter. There's going to be an update scheduled to arrive on December 19th, which is, well, today. So they decided within like a couple hours to just have an announcement and then have this thing go live. We'll go into the changes in just a moment here, but they're shaking things up quite a bit. Most of the people that are not terribly competitive, in particular ones that aren't going to the WSOE, I forget exactly what that is. It's not World Series of Esports. It's something along those lines. World Championship, whatever. Big old esports tournament where Hearthstone is a part of it. This is going to affect that immediately, so that really sucks because they're giving you no notice. It's basically a couple hours later, hey, by the way, changes. So, what are the changes? That's the big thing. Okay, let's go into it. So, here we are, things to arrive. And this isn't, a first look, I actually know about this. Wild Growth going from 2 to 3 mana. As well as, just look at both things for the Druid, Nourish going from 5 to 6. So, increasing the cost of something by 1 mana crystal is actually really significant. We've seen that done in the past, and it's made some cards unplayable. I mean, look at more recently, you had Mana Worm, which no one sees play anymore. no one plays anymore, rather, and doesn't see any play, because it's not that turn 1 drop that you can kind of rely on now. It's a 2 mana 1/2, which is extremely poor statted. It's just that 1 mana difference just makes it completely unplayable, we'll say. Plus, also the prevalence of Odd Mage in the current expansion, so that has something to do with it there. So now they're increasing Wild Growth. Let's talk about that for a second now. So usually, I mean, the plus side is you can run Kaliseth and Druid, because now you don't have any 2-drops, right? That's fantastic. I know everything revolves around Kaliseth these days. And beyond that, Druid could consider more 3 mana options. Maybe this is the slight buff to War Druid Loti, because, hey, usually you kind of skip your 3 mana turn. Turn 2 Wild Growth, then you just go straight to 4 mana crystals. So now you have to go through the turn 3, although it would fight for the same spot. But still, this is gonna hurt a lot. And what they're trying to do here, more so, is just push back ramp and combo Druid. So any sort of super aggressive token things are still gonna function fairly similarly. Although I think Wild Growth still hurts them quite a bit. But this is a big hit to combo and ramp, because you're getting more expensive card draw, and obviously more expensive ramp. Having this, I mean, sure, you go from turn 6 to turn 6 mana crystals to 8 to 9 the next turn, but still, it's delayed 1 turn, and a lot of times the control decks need that 1 more turn to set up, Spreading Plague, or get, not really Starfall so much, but just ramp up to Ultimate Infestation to be able to stabilize there. So that is a huge hit to those two. Let's move on to the next ones before we talk about how it's gonna, how this whole thing's gonna affect a lot of things. But yeah, Druid got hit. Druid has such a strong deck. I'm gonna leave a link to this whole thing in the description, by the way, in case you want to read it yourself. But oh my god, Druids were everywhere, and this expansion, the Rastikon's Rumble, didn't change too much, unfortunately. I feel like that's the main reason why these changes are coming out, all of them, not just the Druid ones, because it didn't change as much as maybe they intended it to, and so now they're just swinging their hammer around, I guess, swinging the Nerf hammer. Alright, which probably wouldn't hurt too much, probably made very soft material. Next up, here's a huge thing, oh my goodness, level up. I'll cover up that last one because spoilers, whatever. Will now cost 6 mana up from 5. So again, we see the adding 1 mana to it, but however, this is much more significant than the previous changes above with the Druid stuff, because no one played Odd or even Druid. No one played those two. It was just better to just play, regular Druid, play cards. Paladin. Odd Paladin was currently the top deck. I mean, I'll say it probably still is, unless the changes are live immediately, but I'm recording this at a strange hour of the night where they don't usually put changes through. So hopefully not. But anywho, so Odd Pally has been the top deck for the past 2, I mean, it's was still the top in Rastakhan Drumble, and Bloodclaw, which was seen by many, including myself, as a big buff to Odd Pally, actually took away from his win rate just because it's such a good deck on its own. It didn't need that extra thing. I think it's still a really good card, but it functions better without it. And this is completely removed level up from Odd Paladin, obviously. Going from 5 to 6, you have to consider now, as long as Gen and Baku are in Standard, and even in Wild to a degree, but to a lesser degree, when you change the mana cost of card, if you just up it by 1, now it fits in that other set of decks. You know, it goes from Gen to Baku to Gen to Baku, you know, back and forth, however. So this is a huge hit to Odd Paladin. I don't know if they're actually going to be able to function so much anymore. They can try. They could try to just put in 2 Blood Claws instead of 2 level ups, but we saw that doesn't really work. I mean, the ability to just potentially, from turn 7 onwards, to, after a board wipe, just put out 2 3/3 taunts with this combination. It's not super strong for 7 mana, but this is an extremely good card that was always a threat, and now it's just gone from Odd Paladin. Odd Pally, I'm declaring it dead. Next up, Serenite Chain Gang. This is a very interesting thing. So, Chain Gang now reads, taunt, summon, battle cry, summon another Serenite Chain Gang. And at first I was like, well, how does that affect anything? It still summons another. I thought maybe it doesn't copy the stats. No, it probably does. But then I read the little text down there. This is a nerf to Shudderwalk specifically. So, instead of realizing that they made something crazy, you know, the first week or so that it came out in the Witchwood, and then... It was the Witchwood, right? Yeah, it wasn't Boomsday Project. Nah. Realizing they made something crazy in that and just making the animations faster. And capping it at, what, 20 battle cries? Which was never really a hit anyway. Now, they just decided that Serenite Chain Gang summons another Chain Gang no matter what. So if you play this in your normal Shudderwalk deck, Shudderwalk goes off, and you get the Chain Gang battle cry to go off first hand, okay, cool. You get a 2/3 Chain Gang. You don't get another Shudderwalk anymore. So there are still ways to copy it, mainly with Zola the Gorgon. You can, you know, still add copies to your hand, but that's not quite as effective anymore. So basically, they're neutering Shudderwalk. They didn't want to have it hanging around for that much longer, even though I think it would have been rotating out soon anyway. Because yeah, this is from the Frozen Throne, Knights of the Frozen Throne. So that wasn't going to be here for too long. But they decided, you know what, had to go right now. And I think the last change, is it the last change? Yes. Is Leeching Poison. Goes down in 1 mana. Oh my goodness, here we go. They're buffing a card? No, they never buff cards, please. Now it reads, instead of just give your weapon lifesteal forever, give your weapon lifesteal this turn. Which is a huge hit to Kingsbane Rogue. So they hit Druids, they hit combo and... What was it? Combo and Ram Druids, specifically. They hit Odd Paladin, pretty much killed that. Shudderwalk is also mostly dead. There are some decks that just played Shudderwalk for the for a tempo battle cry instead of a huge combo OTK kind of thing, but that was not as reliable in most cases. And now they are hitting Kingsbane Rogue very, very hard. So instead of, you know, just getting your Kingsbane back out, you know, you use all your charges, cool, okay, get it back out of your deck with Shiny Finder or Raiding Party now, and just throw it down, gain a whole bunch of health, and you basically can't die. Because you can't die in fatigue, and you would lifesteal for, like, at least 10 health each turn, basically. I've seen it up to 14, 15, whatever. So it was almost impossible to get any damage on them. Well, now it's only going to last for 1 turn, perhaps. I don't know if it replays the effect each time, and you get like 1 turn of lifesteal, or if it just, let's see, making the lifesteal effect life in 1 turn to address the power level. I think it sounds like it does. So like when you play it for 1 turn, it'll probably have lifesteal, just like for the 1 turn you play the Kingsbane, for 1 swing, and then the next 2 swings will just be gone. So, ugh, that kind of sucks. I mean, they're still going to be able to function pretty well, and it's cheaper, so you can kind of throw it on easier, but it's going to be a big hit to them, because now they're either going to have to constantly be replaying Kingsbanes every turn, or have 2 turns where they just don't have lifesteal. I suppose they could try to stagger their Leeching Poisons, but still, it's going to be really difficult to keep the same threat up that they always had to, and keep that same sustain power. So yeah, lots of big changes. They're hitting, I know a lot of people hated Kingsbane, hated Odd Pally. Pretty much all Druids were hated as well, especially before the expansion. My insight, I guess, my thoughts on this. I like it because I'm playing mostly Secret Hunter right now, and that didn't get hit. I mean, this isn't hitting any neutral cards, which means that. Well, okay, I'm sorry. It's hitting Chain Gang, but that was really only used. The only thing this is really hitting is Shoulder Walk because it copies that Battle Cry. There's nothing else that this actually damages. Any deck that already ran Chain Gang outside of Shoulder Walk isn't affected at all. So there's that to consider. I'm going to stop scrolling the screen in case people are obnoxious, but this is like the biggest change right here, in my opinion. They're hitting the top decks that were top decks for a while. I do believe that Raiding Party was a buff to Kingsbane Rogue, and maybe just buffed it too much, and now they have to take it down a notch. Druid was the top deck for the past couple expansions, and Odd Pally was always up there. It was like tier 1. It was certainly tier 1 for the last one, but there were so many different Druid decks that were viable that it was kind of not even seen. And now it was absolutely the top deck after Rastakhan, even though they didn't have any new cards in them. It could have just been that there was still like whole the mix-up phase, shaking up the meta, people trying new decks, and Odd Pally was just tried and tested and solid. And now, not so solid. They lost a huge part of their deck, and I just don't think it's going to recover. Especially just before this this big esports thing is going off, and now whoever had these decks prepared, well, you hope you can think up some new things on the fly. Hope you have some backups, because, ooh, that's going to be tough to work with. Well, let me know what you think about these changes, and if anyone's even watching this video, hey, thank you for your support. I'm going to be playing some games later, sticking with that Secret Hunter for a while. But yeah, and I'm really just so surprised that they're putting this, this change out so quickly. Literally just not even 24 hours notice before this is going live, which is very uncharacteristic. They usually give you at least a couple days to tell, and it does say in fine print here that you'll be able to disenchant these cards for their full value, so for 2 weeks. So I'll be disenchanting whatever, but that doesn't really affect anyone else. Okay, although, can I disenchant my Kingsbane? Can I disenchant my Shudderwalk? No. How about my Baku? Nope. So take that how you will. But yeah, that's my thoughts on this. Once again, I'll try to do an outro. Feel free to let me know how you feel in the comments below. And until then, good night or good morning, depending on where it is you are. But as always, geez, with all these changes, good luck.